when buyers are looking for a horse that is athletic, and when he walks, he walks athletic and he carries himself pretty well.
Do you think? Do you have any idea what kind of range he's going to go for, or do you?
It's a good middle range kind of horse, probably in that $30,000 to $50,000 range. Depending upon who shows up, and it's probably going to be, I would think, somebody probably from New York that's going to participate in that program. It's probably worth more money to them than anybody else.
Because he's New York bred?
Yeah.
Well, with the practiced eye, what are you looking at when you see, when you watch a horse walk?
Just how he does it. Does he extend all the way out from his, he doesn't really stab his legs into the ground. Everything just kind of flows right along. And his temperament, he has a very nice temperament, but he does have a strong sprinter type body.
And is that in terms of selling them, is it a plus to have a sprinter type body or a minus? Or neither?
Can be sometimes, because people would like to go on from here and continue training the horse and hopefully think the horse is going to be able to race as a 2-year.
394.
His name's Limehouse?
No, that was the sire's name.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's the sire. So
Yes.
the sire was Limehouse,
Correct.
and the dam was Blue Hennessy.
Correct.
403.
Out of New York, or I'm sorry.
394.
No, that's where he was foaled.
Oh, Fold. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, Fold. And that what's your name?
My name's Bevan.
Nice to meet you, Bevan.
Pleasure to meet you as well.
I'm Jeff.
And
Yeah.
410, please tack up. Come to the paddock.
And do you usually, would you say that, are you usually pretty accurate? I mean, I know, for example, you can fairly reliably predict what a broodmare is going to go for just based on their page. Obviously, these guys, it's a lot different.
try to give people kind of an idea, and generally what I say to people, because they want to know if they should set a reserve, which we usually do, is it comes down to the last statement I'll give it, as far as what I think who's looked at him, what kind of range it'd be, and I'll say, well, it really depends on what figure you want the horse or the money. You see what I mean? I try to set a reserve at probably 60 to 65% of where I think it's going to go, because people don't like to go through this whole exercise and then come through with a horse that isn't sold. They have a lot of expenses.
And especially with this being almost the end of the
generally, for my mind, the horses really want, the quality shows through the last quarter of a mile, what they're doing from the quarter pole home, and I think pedigree carries
Do you?
through that, yeah. I mean, sometimes you get these pretty horses that can go fast. They can just go fast. Some of them can go fast for an eighth or a quarter, and they don't stretch out.
Right.
So generally these sales, they really do have their purpose. And actually, when you're training them, when you get them in here, you can kind of see which ones rise to the occasion and which ones melt.
Which one's what?
Which ones kind of melt.
Oh.
And they just don't respond.
Is this a pretty intense period for a horse? Leading into a sale like this?
There's always a horse or two that I find that I might have to put on some GastroGuard, because they might fret a little bit. They might develop what I think a little bit of an ulcer. Yeah, so it can be, and then others, we've had other horses that come in here and they'll gain 100 pounds. They'll bloom.
They love it.
And that happens a lot.
Right.
So really, the 2-year-old sales sometimes have have a bad name, but I don't necessarily think it is. I think it's, sometimes it does compromise a horse. If a horse is repeatedly worked fast, it's going to have some effect on their immature joints.
Yeah.
But if it's done right, and the horse isn't ass for all he has every time out, it fits its purpose. In other words, you bring a horse through here and he goes through the sale, and he can go on. You're just one step closer to the game.
Yeah.
And you get a chance to see how they respond to these stressful conditions, and how they act when they walk in the paddock.
All stuff they're going to need to do.
You
later.
may have a horse. I may get a horse in here that I don't have one that is, I would say to an owner, but sometimes I get a horse and I'll say, he's difficult. He doesn't like being here. He doesn't like being in the stall, and I'll say, I don't think there's much future here.
Really?
Just sell the horse no matter what.
What do they do then?
You got to be careful on that, because sometimes people are in denial. They kind of, and look, I'm fine with whatever, but generally my job is I'm an intermediary between a buyer and a seller. So my job is to get these things trained, get them done, tell the owners what I think, read how the public's doing, and how the popular or unpopular horse is. And I have to convey that by the morning of the sale so that person can make their business decision.
Is that when you set the reserve morning up?
Yeah. We can set a reserve up to 10 hip numbers before the sale.
Oh, is that right? Okay, I didn't know that.
So it's there's a lot that goes into it. We have had some great sales here. We sold a Malibu Moon weanling here one year after Declan's Moon won the 2-year-old championship for $150,000. I sold Declan's Moon here as a yearling.
Did you sell that one?
For $125,000. So
404.
this whole process here, this 2-year-old sale, does have a major part in people that necessarily don't want to breed a horse, but they want to buy a horse that's probably a good ways, being developed for the racetrack.
Right. Of course, Extra Heat being a classic example. I think she started like 3 weeks after the
anything
sale.
can happen. There's a horse that sold for $5,000 as a yearling, and went on and earned over $1 million and $2 million, I think it was.
I think it's 2, yeah.
And ended up selling at the sales of Broodmare Prospect for just about that much, $2 or $2.5 million.
That one worked out okay.
Wow.